Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my killing floor tutorial. So, today we're going to be talking about a little more of advanced topics. We're going to be talking about pathfinding and path nodes and AI. So hopefully you've seen my tutorial part 1. If not, please go watch that. If so, then here we are. Uh, if you don't need to know where you're at, that's perfect. Alright, so hopefully already you've created your map, textured it how you liked, and gotten it to a place where you can call it ready for testing. So, now I'm going to explain to you how to spawn AI, spawn the player, and allow the AI to move. So, right here I just have a very basic grid, just so that way we can get started and not have to deal with a lot of the niceties that make a map nice, because that's not what we're doing today. So, let's go back to our content browser, and then we're going to look at under our actor classes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a player spawn point. So under here we're going to go to here, navigation points. Under there we're going to look for player start. We're going to click that, and we're just going to drag it right onto here. As you can see, our player start is underneath the ground, so we need to raise it up. Come on, select. Sorry, I have that very high, so perfect. So, as you can see, here is where a player will spawn. Also, if you kind of notice, there is a blue arrow here. That is which way the player will be facing. So, if you don't like which way it is rotated, you can easily just rotate that around, so that way the player is facing the way you would like it to. So now you have to think about the fact that, again, in Killing Floor you can have multiple players in a single map if you're doing multiplayer. If you're doing solo, you can just worry about yourself, but most maps are able to be played in multiplayer and in solo mode. So because of that, we know that the max number of players in a single round is 6. So what you can easily do is make 6 spawn points. So that is what I am going to do. So we'll just drag those out, and there you go. Now we have 6 spawn points. A rule of thumb with a spawn point is you want each spawn point to be located over 1 square. So that way, when the pathing actually calculates where the player will spawn, 2 players cannot spawn on the same tile and cause issues and stuff like that. So we're going to have each one hover over a single one. So it's very simple, and that's it for player spawns. So now we're going to get to enemy spawns. So if we just kind of come over here. So most people think, if you've actually looked in the actor class, here you'll see where is it at? KF spawner right here. This is not what you think it does. KF spawner is for items and different things like that. It's not for enemy spawns. That's not what we're going to do. What we're actually going to do is we're going to be using this right here, the red brush tool, the volume tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to move it over to our location of where we're going to actually use it. So we're going to bring it over there. So this brush tool here is what's actually going to allow us to create the dimensions of a volume for us to actually use. So I just kind of want to line that up. Now, how do you actually edit the brush tool? It's actually quite simple. Right here we're in camera mode, but if we go over to geometry mode, we will have this pop up, and our brush will actually be editable. So what you can do is you can actually click on an edge, a vertex, or even a face, and when selected, you can extrude. So let's say for now we just want a pretty big spawn area, so we can extrude here, and we extrude there. Perfect. Once we like where we're at, we can hit apply, cancel that out, and now our brush is shaped the way we want it to. So now that we have the brush the size we want to go to volumes here, add a volume, and right here, KF spawn volume. Once we click on that, we can move our brush to the side just so that way we can then start editing the properties of our spawner. So what you can do here is once we click on the spawner, you can hit F4, and by clicking F4 it brings up our volumes property. So by bringing up the volumes property, we can now select a lot of different lots of information. So this one right here, max spawn markers. So depending on the size of your volume, you can easily dictate how many monsters do you want to be able to spawn at the same time from that location. It starts off at 11, but since it's a lot larger one, we can actually do 15. And now, as you can see, once we hit enter, you can see there are 15 circles. These circles indicate which spawns there are. One thing you have to be aware of is that if anything is within one of these circles, it will turn red, and that will disable that spawn point. So if you are in an area that is kind of close quarters, has some objects in the way and stuff like that, be prepared to know that not all of your spawners will be able to actually spawn because something is clipping into it. So next we're going to look at largest squad type. There's many to choose from. It goes from smallest to largest, and the rule of thumb is if it's below the current the current selection, it can spawn there. So crawlers are the smallest thing in the game. If you select that, that's the only thing that can spawn from this volume. Small monsters or small Zeds are considered clots, gorefasts, anything that is usually just the standard bipedal monsters. Oh, autosave. Medium covers bloats, husks, sirens, all the more basic mid-tier monsters. So again, if you select medium, everything below it will be able to spawn from there. Next is large, which is for flesh pounds and skrakes. Very, very basic. It's the two largest things in the game. And then boss. So if you have Patriarch or Dr. Hans can spawn there. So for this instance, since we're just having the one spawn point, we're going to just do boss because that's how you go. So once we select that, we can just exit out. So yes, now as you can see, we have our volume. There it goes. It can now spawn AI. So now let's quickly save our map so that way we can test. So save all. I know that it's auto-save, but it's always good to save your map anytime you're about to play test something. And let's just play our editor from here. That is fine. Oh, that's right. I do not have any light in here. So that's fine. We'll add some light in a second. We'll add a directional light. But as you can see, we're in the game, but nothing's spawning. So that is because the editor is just that. It's the editor. It's not actually the full game. So let me quickly add a directional light so we can actually see what we're doing here. Alright, good. So now that we have a directional light, so before we actually get our map to test to make sure our AI is actually spawned correctly, let's add some node points so that way they can walk around. So if we go back to our content browser under actor class, we will go to back to our node points, so navigation points, and then right here, path nodes. Click on a path node and drag it into our level. Now you'll notice something here. It says bad size. So the way that the pathfinding works in Unreal Development Kit, or UDK, is that the path nodes need to be a certain distance above the floor, so that way it knows which tile to cement itself to, similar to our spawn points. So if we drag it up, it then turns into an apple. Why is it an apple? Not a clue. It's just the way UDK is. But now this net path node is a legitimate path node. So one thing you can do is just start copying our path nodes. So that way we can then start creating a grid of nodes for the AI to start walking around with. For more fine detailed path movements, the more path nodes the better, because the way that path nodes work is it's kind of like connect the dots. So the more dots that you have, the more precise the connections can be. With these connections being more precise, you can have more lifelike or just overall better functioning AI. Because without it, with this, the AI will still walk between the path nodes, but if there were, let's say, obstacles and stuff like that in the way, they would not work as well as you would think. Going with that, if there are stairs and stuff like that in your level, then make sure you create a path node at the base of the stairs and at the top of the stairs. But make sure that they are not bad sized, make sure they're the correct size up, as well as put one, maybe two path nodes in the middle of your staircase, again, making sure that they are valid nodes, so that way the AIs know that they can actually walk up the ramp and stuff like that. So now that we're getting almost done with adding some basic path nodes. Alright, now let's save our level. So, yep, we'll leave it at that. So how do we actually get our level into the game so that way we can play test it? So if you've ever noticed something about the content browser, if you look at the very top, it'll say KF game, Brood PC, maps, everything like that. This is actually the file directory that is created in the Killing Floor game. So it's the content browser is actually pulling from the file directory. So what we can actually do is we can just come here. So I have my level saved on my desktop. So what you need to do is you need to save your game or your level in the maps folder. So what you want to do is you want to find your Steam apps, whether it's your C, in this case I put it in my E drive. Go to Steam apps, Commons, find Killing Floor 2, go to, and then look, KF game. Well, we should know about KF game. And then again, we use Brood PC, and then look, maps. And here are all the maps that are currently available in the game. And as you can see, I have some of my own current ones, but if we take our KF test, bring it here, now it then creates a copy. So if we open up Killing Floor. It'll take a second. We should be able to open it up in the game. So while I have your attention, I'm waiting for this to load. I'd like to talk to you about some issues that I have personally run into with loading in levels. Some of the issues that I've run into is creating custom content. If you've ever created a model or a texture and you added it to your particular level, and then you add it to, you save it and stuff like that, and you want to see it in Killing Floor, you won't actually be able to see it properly. The reason why is because Killing Floor checks your game files in comparison to its server files. And if it notices that your files differ from its files, it will then not render anything that it does not know about. So if you have a texture that you threw on to, let's say, a wall, it's going to come with this really weird, like, highlighter, neon colored texture showing that it could not find the correct texture. So, let me turn this off. So, with that in mind, you will need to purchase a server from Killing Floor, and then you can take all of your reference materials, static meshes, whatever, and actually upload it there. And then when you actually play it, your custom content should be available. But for right now, let's just test our level. So if we go to solo offline, if we go to starting maps, and right there, KF test. Just for now, we'll just have that. Start game. And as you can see, we have a spawn point. And there we go. Should say spawns incoming. If we look away, hopefully, there is an option. We can go back to have things spawn. But yeah, so as you can see, it does say wave 21. The reason why is because nothing spawning is because I forgot to change a setting within the editor. Let's quickly go back. Come on. Some other things that I've noticed with the Killing Floor 2 editor. If you've ever opened up the Killing Floor 2 editor after a while of not playing the game, and you're trying to save your level and it crashes, it may be due to the fact that your files are not up to date with what currently is available with Killing Floor. I know recently I haven't played in a while, and I haven't updated the Christmas maps because it's currently the Christmas time. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that Killing Floor 2 is as current as it is. Then you can open up the SDK, and hopefully then everything gets restored and realizes, okay, the current availability is what is available. It's correct. Everything's lined up the way it is. All the files are there that need to be there, and then I will work properly. It's just standard file checking, making sure everything is located where it should be located. Alrighty then. I'm just waiting for this to load up. And there you go. Yep. So yeah, if you want to open up the version that is in your file directory, again, remember where you kept your files. Open. So that is another reason why we forgot to build everything, which is an issue. So let's select our spawner again. Right here, out of sight. If set, this volume never performs a visibility check. So in order to make sure that the Zeds don't spawn right in front of you, the different volumes do a out of sight check. They want to make sure they're behind a wall, or if you're not facing them, stuff like that. So we'll check this, make sure that it's out of sight. And then the other thing we should do is we should build all. But before you build all, make sure you save your current map. So that way, if something happens while it's building, you don't lose all of your progress. So let's build all. All right. Map should have a kill set so that, oh, if this is just if you fall, yeah, it's if you fall, you don't just keep falling forever, you actually die, but we're not going to fall in this case. So after that, let's save our map after doing the performance update. Going to close, go back to killing floor. So hopefully this really helps out with any people who was wondering, how do I get my zombies to spawn? Why is it that the trader doesn't work correctly when you add in the trader? These are all because that you're not actually in the game. You are just in the editor, and the editor does not have all of the scripting for activating the different protocols. So, if we go back, come on, load up. All right, offline, KF test, launch. Well, it's currently not working, but again, trust me, I can actually show you some other maps that I have worked on that do actually work. So yeah, this is another custom map that I've worked on, and obviously since it's a custom map, I had to build it and work on it, and the only way for things to spawn correctly is to actually play it in the game and show it off. So if we ready up, as you can see, these guys spawned correctly. See? So, hopefully that helps you out with understanding how to spawn everything, and if you guys need any more help with anything else, let me know down in the comments, and I will maybe make a part 3. Thanks again.